Well, folks, late night, 10:15 here in the UK. Sensational revelations tonight. Find out what Camilla said about Meghan. Find out what happened at the Invictus Games in Canada. Find out about the depth of this feud between these Harry and his family. Paula, you sent me this clip
Yeah.
as it came out. What are some of the? This is Tom Bower's new book, the new paperback edition of his book Revenge, which I'm sure many of you will have read. It's a fantastic read the first time out. My God, this new paperback edition. Tell us some of the highlights you've picked out, Paula.
Well, after I scraped my jaw off the floor, um, I read through as quick as I could. Then I reread and read again the Times of London piece where they are serializing Bower's book. Now, this book comes out in, I would say, March 29th, so in like a week or two. And the best thing about it is they did one serialization today, literally just dropped, and they have two more on the way, Tom. I mean, Harry and Meghan must be pulling their hair out, and I'm dying to see how they're going to spin this. So, this first serialization was titled Meghan's Brainwashed Harry, Queen Camilla told a friend. I mean, yeah, sucked me right in on that one. I just could not believe it. Some of the other highlights include Prince William's original fears were soon realized that they had, jumped into marriage too soon. Meghan had become a divisive agent. To please her, Harry was ignoring his old friends. He even changed his telephone number without telling his family. The
Yeah,
jovial lad about town became possessed by seeking revenge. Increasingly, his character mirrored Meghan's. Emotionally, he veered towards extremes. Simple dislikes became passionate hatred. Meghan's brainwashed Harry, Camilla told a friend. Now, Tom, we're going to stop there for a minute and discuss because you've reported on some of this about how he kind of switched and how William was so worried about this and his friends were worried.
yeah, totally. So I've reported on friends saying, that William
Mhm.
absolutely hates Harry and Meghan, and that they totally blame Meghan. Like that,
Mhm.
that is definitely they blame Meghan for the change in Harry. The thing about the friends not seeing him is so true. Like I know there's all these friends of Harry who
Mhm.
literally have no contact. A number of the best men at Harry's wedding, I believe only one of them is still in contact with Harry.
What?
Yeah, and of course we saw that footage of Harry wandering around London trying to ring on the doorbells of his old friends and not even knowing that they'd like moved house 2 years before. Um, Carry on, Paula. I think Ben's joined us actually, so hopefully he'll be able to add some pictures up there.
Oh,
Hi, Ben.
good. I was going to say, I just dropped in the photo of the book if you want to put it up.
Oh, it
That
was
is
you
in
who did it. Sorry, I assumed it was
No,
Ben.
no, girl, that was me. But you have to put it up because I can't mess with that. So this is the picture of the book that is coming out. I have obviously pre-ordered that immediately. But the thing is, it does strike me. Something is always wrong when somebody becomes so obsessed and subsumed with another person that they basically drop everyone for that. Then again, she's dropped everyone, so I guess he is learning a lot. Now, the next part that I'm obsessed with
Mm.
is that he is isolated and he is terrified about losing his title. So listen to this. At the same time, Harry's troubles have mounted. Isolated from Britain, his charitable activities have become threadbare and his desperation noticeable to many. Ouch. Permanently alienated from William and Kate, Harry was reportedly stunned by his brother's ferocious reaction to revelations about the man now known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and his relationship with the convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. The unpredicted and unimagined humiliation of Andrew shocked Harry. Rightly, Harry fears that the future King William could remove all of the Sussex's titles and effectively banish him from Britain. Whether Meghan understands the potential consequence of any deliberate aggravation of the Prince and Princess of Wales remains to be seen. Now, what I want to say about this is, remember, I don't know, what was it, a week ago? When from Harry and Meghan's camp came all of this nonsense, like Harry and Meghan knew about it. That's why they left. They were so worried about Prince Andrew, now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, that they had to leave. And they had to leave and flee to the States. And that was the kind of line being shilled by them. I think Tom Bower pretty much put the bullshit to that one. What do you think?
Yeah, so what I found really interesting about this was that what I heard was that when the first statement came out, so just to cast your mind back to October, right, when King Charles issued basically two statements 2 weeks apart. And the first statement, well, it was actually technically issued by Andrew, but it was issued on Buckingham Palace headed notepaper, and it was issued via the Buckingham Palace network, of their media relationships. And the first statement said, hello, I'm Prince Andrew, and I'm too honourable. So I'm going to give up my titles voluntarily because I'm such a nice chap and I don't want to distract from anything. And I was told that this actually hugely encouraged the Sussexes because it made them think that the titles were completely unremovable unless you agreed to give them up. Do you see what I mean? So initially, what I was told was that their response was one of great joy and rejoicing because Andrew has undoubtedly done, empirically much worse things than they have done, allegedly, sex trafficking, et cetera, et cetera. It's interesting. It's not how it's seen within the royal family, where they prize loyalty above all else. But the point being that at that first statement, they very much had the impression that their titles were completely safe. And then when the second statement came out 2 weeks later, when everybody was so outraged at Charles's pathetic initial attempt at disciplining Andrew, when the second statement came out, and it was just like, I'm issuing new letters patent. And the best way to think of letters patent is it's a bit like an executive presidential order. When the second statement came out saying we are taking the prince off him, that apparently did send them into a massive tailspin because Meghan is actually a princess. She is actually Princess Henry, and he is Prince Henry, obviously Prince Harry. But the children, they've been very, very emphatic about using the Prince and Princess title for Archie and Lilibet. Now, the truth is that they are entitled to call those kids Prince and Princess because they are the grandson of a monarch. But one imagines that when King George V laid down those rules 100 years ago, he wasn't intending that somebody who lived in a republic had a massive falling out with their parent would continue to be called that. Would continue to be called a prince. So I think this is a really fascinating line from this new Tom Bower book, Betrayal. And sorry, just to be clear, I said earlier it was an update of the paperback. It's not. It's a brand new book, Betrayal. And I would say, if you've read Tom Bower's work before, you'll know that it's going to be packed full of sensational revelations. Carry on, Paula. What's the next bit that caught your eye?
All right. Now we're getting into the Invictus Games, Tom. All right, let's go back to a 2-screen, Tom, if you don't mind.
Okay.
We get into the Invictus Games with Bower basically saying they should be called the Meghan Games. No, 2-screen. I don't want just me on. It makes me feel self-conscious. Okay, so here we go. Meghan needed a global stage for genuine admiration and cheering fans. To her good fortune, Harry agreed that she could star at the Invictus Games, which he was about to open in Canada. Just before flying up to Vancouver in a private jet, she alerted her Instagram followers. Now, note the private jet. Here we go. Meghan insists on being called ma'am, and Harry should be called sir, replied Nick Booth, the chief executive of the Games. Booth had been parachuted into the post after the dismissal of two Canadian executives. Both had resented the pushy Sussexes, not least their exorbitant expenses for security, accommodation, and a private jet. Unlike Harry's own financial contributions to the Sentabali charity, his lifestyle expenses for Invictus were financed by government and corporate funding of the Games. So Canadian tax dollars basically went to ferry those two up to their Games. It's insane. He goes on, in the opinion of the departed Invictus Canadian executives, Meghan was a distraction from the injured veterans. She's bling, not rehabilitation, protested the men. Wow. It also goes on how the opening was this big Katy Perry concert, right? And in the crowd, it was all Katy Perry fans. Not anyone gave a bling about Games, Invictus Games, Wounded Warriors, veterans, nothing. And then Harry and Meghan arrive. They had arrived at the stadium for the opening of the Games, where Katy Perry performed, by car from their hotel's penthouse suite across the street. So they were staying across the street and insisted on a car taking them. Side note here, a friend of mine who had to deal with her when she was in Suits in Canada as well, he was putting on a big photo shoot. And so he set up the Suits cast at a hotel right by the shoot, and Meghan was the only one that insisted on a car taking her from the hotel to the shoot 4 doors down. So familiar behavior. Here we go, going back to the book, guys. Uno momento. So they insisted, hotel's penthouse suite across the street, and then they were transferred to an electric golf cart. Filmed by an Archwell cameraman, they were driven through an underground passage lined with hundreds of veterans and volunteers cheering, Harry, Harry. The video of the orchestrated welcome was posted on Meghan's Instagram feed. Unexpectedly, more videos about the Sussexes in Vancouver were filtered through to her curated Instagram account. In one video, Meghan thanked the Indigenous peoples for their hospitality on their sacred land. In another, the Sussexes met a group of children. Other videos revealed her outfits: Hermes, Ralph Lauren, Altazura. Those were the prelude to the Sussexes' sudden appearance opposite the media box in the stadium. The Meghan Games had been launched.
It's amazing. The thing, I don't know if you remember when Harry lost his court case against the British government.
Yeah.
And he gave this sort of very emotional, tearful interview
Yes.
to the BBC. And of course, he said in that, he said, well, of course, I've been spending a lot of time with the native Canadian people, and they've taught me the importance of reconciliation, but you can't have reconciliation without truth. And it was just like, oh my God, are you really comparing your situation to what happened to Native Americans in Canada? It's like,
yes, he is.
So unbelievable, the kind of and I know, I'm sorry, I apologize, I shouldn't for any of our Native American viewers, but will know how outrageous that is.
Yeah,
right?
they should be really pissed off. I mean, the raping and pillaging and stealing that took place of the Native Americans has nothing to do with Harry's entitlement and want of a police escort.
The security detail
paid for by others.
Literally, I literally felt you felt like screaming at the telly, Harry, you had an argument about using your lip gloss and who was going to wear. I mean, but yeah. And then I don't know if you're going to get to this later, but there's some amazing stuff about Archwell. what do you want to do that bit next?
Hold
Or do you
on.
want to do something else
Hold on,
next?
we've still got more. We've
Okay,
still got
we got
more.
more. We got
This
more. We got more.
Invictus Games in Canada was such a shambolic effing mess. So across the street from the Sussex's hotel, the competitors in the empty hangars knew that the world was not interested in them. No. Subject to the Sussex's PR machine, the media chose not to reveal the truth that Invictus's 2,000 yellow-shirted volunteers around the deserted convention center outnumbered paying spectators by 20 to 1. Just one middle-aged Italian veteran in a wheelchair reappeared constantly, pushing himself around the vast canteen. He was surrounded by the 1,200 members of the competitors' families, all enjoying free food twice daily.
God.
Yeah. All right. This is where we run into Harry and Meghan running out of money. This is part of it.
Yeah.
And then we get into the Archwell boondoggle. So
Okay.
then we'll do this.
Okay.
A few months later, in autumn 2025, the Sussexes faced a harsh reality. The foreign tours in the Invictus competition had been lucrative, yet they were running out of money fast. With high security costs, they needed every year at least $3 million after paying tax to survive. So, $5 million.
I mean,
The Netflix.
Actually, if I could just come in there 1 second. I mean, I think Tombo is actually being quite generous there because, I mean, I've seen, estimates of, I mean, and frankly, this is one of these numbers that you can pull out of a hat a bit. You can say, well, the mortgage is this and the security is that and the security is that. And to be honest, I think that's quite a conservative estimate. What's he saying? £3 million?
No, $3 million, 2.25 million pounds.
I mean, that seems to me a very realistic estimate of what you need to survive in Montecito if you want to have a kind of reasonably, you don't want to be, completely shamed by your neighbors.
True. And they do shame their neighbors there.
Enough for you or me, Paula.
That's true. That's true. We're quite lucrative. Here we go. The Netflix and Spotify contracts had come to an end. Both Sussexes relied on a dribble of money from Harry's occasional speeches and Meghan's endorsements of fashion brands. No further announcement had been issued about the sale of Meghan's as-ever products. Profits were assumed to be dire, yet a leak suggested that Meghan had sold nearly 1 million pots of jam and produced profits of $30 million. Few thought that was credible. That's true. Now, I also want to bring in something real quickly, Tom, because as we're talking, I'm reminded of these shambolic stories that are flying around. Number one, the latest shambolic story that Meghan's being paid $1 million to do this girls' weekend in Australia. No, everyone.
No.
She is absolutely not.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, I think we won't name any names, but I think that there's some people who just make stuff up, frankly, and that it's complete nonsense. Do you know what I mean? I'm sorry, but the going rate for Meghan is no longer $1 million for a weekend.
It's 50,000. Her and Harry's going rate is 50,000.
Right.
US. Which is better than 50,000 Australia, because that's around 40,000 US. So, yay. We'll move on. So yes, there's that. They're running out of money. Archwell, here we go.
I want to say one other thing. I'm really glad that Tombo brings up that jam pots story because that was the craziest. I mean, in a sense, I have to say, look, PR is PR, and hats off to whoever managed to get that narrative out there that she'd sold $30 million pots of jam. It was literally in the Times of London. It was in all these newspapers, and it was, I won't tire everybody with explaining again the kind of mad Reddit story and the kind of accidental million pots of jam and all of that. But the reality is that to sell $30 million worth of jam. I mean, as Tom Bower says, it's not credible. Anyway, carry on. Sorry.
That's all right. We are now going on to your favorite, Archwell. Among the Sussex's costly failures, they realized during 2025 was the Archwell Foundation, established by the couple in 2020. Having failed to raise any new donations, the accounts filed in December 2025 revealed its income had fallen from 5.3 million to just 2.1 million. That donation, a historic commitment which would not be renewed. More startlingly, Archwell gave away just 1.2 million, mostly in small 27,500 donations, but its expenses were a whopping 3.9 million. There was no explanation of how the Sussexes spent any of that money. I'd like to also point out that the $27.5 thousand donations, there were two. I broke this story to a lovely charity where the woman is a known anti-Zionist, and her brother was responsible for painting the Hitler Jewish stars all around town in Minneapolis. But you know, the Sussexes seem to have a special place in their heart for that kind of people. So go on, Tom. Let's talk about Archwell.
Yeah,
Because by the way, we all know that charity is the best way to money launder reputation and cash.
Yeah, well, I think what we definitely saw at the end of last year was there was this very dramatic downsizing across their whole organization. So, and it all happened at Christmas, which is, again, you know, fair dues to their PR strategy or whatever, when people can't be bothered to, you know, they're too busy eating their turkey to, yeah, exactly right. Crypto fam haze. But even despite that, I mean, it was pretty stunning. So on the 26th of December, they announced that Meredith Maines was leaving. Again, this had been highly planned, as I'm sure you know, Paula.
Yeah. Well, Meredith Maine quit exactly after the entire Kim Kardashian, Kris Kardashian debacle, which I don't blame her.
Yeah, because she was lied to. Because she was lied to, because she was told that they'd check this thing. They'd check this. She was told they'd check this box. That's why she put that out. That's why she laddered that message across their networks. Like, she wouldn't have no one's gonna risk their reputation by putting out a blatant lie that can be disproved in 5 seconds. You know, like, she obviously thought that it was true, that they had ticked this box. So she was at best, she was got the wrong end of the stick, shall we say. At worst, she was actively misled. So she quit, and then they got rid of James Holt, who had been with them for many years.
Well, got rid of, because he was still with them in Jordan, and he'll be with them in Australia, but he did give them 4 months notice, to be fair.
Yeah, and there's considerable rumors, of course, that and I think Tom Bower gets into this in the extract. Now, Liam Maguire, who's their head of press, is based in the United Kingdom, which is slightly odd, right? Having your head of PR 8 hours behind you. James Holt is now back in the United Kingdom. And Bower gets into this as well. Harry is trying to create a more receptive environment for himself in the United Kingdom. They've shut down a lot of their operation in the United States, which all seems to be suggesting that, like, to be fair, like many Brits before them, including myself, they come home from America with their tail between their legs, Paula.
There was no tail between your legs. You just wanted to go home, Tom, and I don't blame you. And your wife was like, I'm done with this. Can we get back there now? And you were like, yeah, okay, happy wife, happy life. But we're going to get into that in a minute, because, hold on.
More.
Oh, so much more. Hold on. Let me pop this back up. Meghan and Harry want to be reinstated. Wait, is that? Yep, here we go. The Sussexes aimed for nothing less than to be reinstated in London by the king as trusted members of the royal family. The vehicle for their triumphant return would be the Invictus Games to be held in July 2027 in Birmingham. From the outset, Harry had plotted for the king to open the games as the backdrop for Meghan, accompanied by their children to dominate the media. But in choosing Birmingham, Harry had unwittingly exposed himself to unexpected controversy, the toxic reality of a city in turmoil, mired in threats and protest.
Yeah.
Not to mention, he also, again, getting into the Israel-Gaza conflict, the article goes on to say that he invited wounded warriors from Israel, and Birmingham is a huge Muslim population city. There have been rumors that parts of it are under Sharia law, and we can only imagine the protests that would be there. And we know the king hates a protest. He also hates a heckle. And, I sincerely doubt at this point that King Charles would show up. Not to mention, I don't think that Harry's got his security back from the British taxpayers, whose minds would probably blow up if he did.
Do you know something? We don't know if he's got the security back. They're claiming there's been no decision on it yet. Who knows? Time will tell. I wouldn't be massively surprised if Charles does end up attending the Invictus game, because Charles' dearest wish is to be reconciled with Harry. And you have to remember that Charles connects with Harry much more than he connects with William. Harry's actually much more like Charles, and William is much more like Queen Elizabeth II, like very sort of steely, very cut off. And of course, Charles always complained that Elizabeth was so sort of emotionally starving to him that, this gave him this miserable childhood. And then, of course, he had to watch all the attention being lavished on Andrew, which is said to be part of the jealousy thing. And I do not actually, I think that Harry may get Charles to rehabilitate him in the United Kingdom. And I think that Harry is aware that he needs to act before the king dies. There's been a lot of flagging about this thing about the Invictus, about will the king open the Invictus Games? And there has been a notable reluctance from the king's side to dismiss the suggestion. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. However, I'm going back into Tom Bower's words, not yours, Bower. Considering all the damning words and lies spoken and written by the Sussexes against the royal family since 2021, and the enormous damage caused by the Sussexes' exploitation of their royal titles, the chance of the king irritating the Prince and Princess of Wales to please the Sussexes in spring 2026, remote.
Yes.
I mean, this is, you guys, everyone needs to read this, and we all need to buy this book because, oh my God, this is so good. It's so good. It's insanity. You know what else is insanity, Tom? The Wall Street Journal. We got to get this one up too, because there are two things in the Wall Street Journal article. So the Wall Street Journal did this piece. It came out on Wednesday, and it was huge piece. A lot of it was stuff that we already knew. However, and
it was one of these classic, not to be rude about American journalism, but sometimes American journalism can be, shall we say, quite dry compared to British journalism. And it was one of these classic stories with like sort of really long headline, and trying to be very grand and blah, blah, blah. And actually, and he kept saying things like, we've spoken to over 754 sources, that real thing of like, we've done our homework. And you're like,
right. But it was like inside the rift that could linger for decades.
Yeah.
Jeez, do you freaking think, dudes? it was nuts. So the final line of this whole story made me kind of gag because it was, hold on, let me get there. It's a long ass story in the Wall Street Journal, guys. So you got to give me a hot second. Here we go. I'm going to read the
I mean,
paragraph.
it's a shocking. It's what we in journalism we call it a kicker, and this is a shocking kicker that Paula is about to read to you.
Here we go. I'm starting with the paragraph and then the kicker. For now, the hidebound traditions of royalty loom over their relationship, Harry and William. Harry remains family and fifth in line to the British throne, but when William becomes king, he will be able to wield power over the Sussexes, including the ability to strip them and their children of their titles if they step out of line or, in an extreme circumstance, removing his brother entirely from the line of succession. Here we go. This is the kicker. And if Harry were ever to remarry, he would have to ask the king to consent first. The Wall Street Journal is bringing up divorce.
Okay, I'll tell you my theory on this. Okay, and tell me if you agree. So I think if you look at that massive headline, right, they wanted to do obviously a huge story with a massive, revelation in it. And I think they probably got a source who said there's trouble in the relationship and, blah, blah, blah. And then I think at the last moment, somebody probably in the Wall Street Journal was like, we can't do this. We don't, I can see it going. I've been in that position a bit. We're going back and forth to the lawyers. And then they thought, okay, well, what we can do is we can put this line in because that is true. It's not defamatory, but if you understand the context from which it comes, it's clearly saying there is a problem in the relationship. And you only actually have to look at the photograph, actually, funny enough, that I've used for the thumbnail for this story of Harry in Jordan.
Oh boy, yeah.
See that it doesn't take a genius to see that they don't look particularly happy, shall we say. If you talk a minute, I'll try and add that.
Well, here's the deal. I also have been hearing that. Now, yes, I live in New York. Yes, I speak with an American accent, but I also have a British passport. And frankly, I got a lot of good sources. And I know a lot of people in London and England and Ireland, not just Tom, I swear. But the deal is, I had actually heard that too after the Jordan trip, that there was some trouble in Paradise brewing and that Harry was getting irked and annoyed. And they pointed to, there were several times in Jordan where Harry kind of brushed her off because she is always kind of, here, Harry, this way, here, and like guiding him and, grabbing his hand and showing him and taking pole position, if you will. Tom Bauer actually gets into this in his article in his book, in the excerpt in the Times, where he shows how Meghan took control of everything in the Invictus Games, where he was going up to speak, so she kissed him. She always was touching him and made sure she was part of the frame. And it seemed in Jordan that Harry, for the first time in 10 years, is finally being like, I got this.
Yeah.
Believe it.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I'm sorry, I don't have the technical ability to upload that picture.
I can try to do it.
But it's the picture of Harry with the headphones on, and he's kind of sitting like this, just looking, and you can just see.
Oh no, I don't have that one. I've got another one of him.
But yeah, there's millions of them, and it's really hard to. And I definitely felt that's what the Wall Street Journal. It just felt to me like, having been in that. Why would they have talked to 14 sources and made such a big deal of it? That if ultimately all they really have in the story is that he's lonely and isolated and not doing much.
Yes.
Like, do you know what I mean? It was a massive. It was like a massive sell at the top of the article, and when you read the article, there was nothing. And then at the end, there's just this super weird, almost like a throwaway line, you can't sue them for that because it is true. Like, and they're not saying he is going to divorce or what have you. But I certainly find it, the other thing that I think is really interesting is that whenever we've seen them in public, right, they're really over the top about how happy they are to be, like the smiles. Do you know what I mean? When they obviously, it didn't extend to Jordan, but Harry, when he was in court in England, started basically crying on the stage and saying that his wife's life and his life had been made a misery by what they had gone through. And well done, Paula. Brilliant.
Nope,
Look,
wrong picture.
Wrong picture. Okay, here we go. Yay!
Oh, you look so unhappy. And by the way, that was his happiest look of the trip, of the photos that they posted themselves.
Yeah.
Badonkers.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely, it was really,
I was excited by the Wall Street Journal article because I don't know, 8 months earlier, I broke the news on News Nation that Harry was isolated and lonely and his only friends were his bodyguards. And so then to have the Wall Street Journal then put it in, I was like, thanks, guys. Of course, Page Six had already picked up my stuff and not credited as well. But it is kind of gratifying to basically have people follow your work and to say, yeah, look, see, I told you so. That last line really shocked me, though. I mean, I obviously had heard it. I wasn't going there because I heard it from one source, who, by the way, excellent source. But on that kind of stuff, I'm just not prepared to put that out there yet on one source. And then for the Wall Street Journal, I was like, boom. Oh, my source was right.
But they obviously pulled it at the last minute. I mean, that's the impression I get. Right. Any more
100%.
from this story, or are we done?
Okay, no, we are almost done, but here's the deal, Tom. So I spoke to a source at the Times because a source, I mean, y'all know I write a column for the Times, right? Like 3 times a month. The Times has 2 more excerpts coming out. And if they are as jaw-dropping as this one, it's like Christmas in March for me. This is insane. Also, all of this stuff is coming out just before Harry and Meghan head to Australia.
Yeah.
Where they are not getting paid $1 million.
Yeah.
I mean, I am just astounded. Also, my Australian socialite circuit, again, I do know a bunch of Australians. They are agog. The Australian socialite WhatsApps are like, oh my God, who would do this? It's like a Groupon, and they're all freaking out. And people are like, I know, but it's sold out. You're like 300 tickets. Of course, probably half of them are media. Also, by the way, in the Q&A, it's all going to be prepped. So the questions have to be screened. Also, anyone who's going to that hideous event, where it's, let me get this up for you guys as well, because Meghan is clearly trading on her title. She's pulled a full Fergie, all right? And this is the full on for the event. There, Tom, you should have it. Tom can put it up. It's Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, trading on her title to get people to go. And yeah, there are 300 people. People wanted to go. A lot of it was press.
Is that the official trailer?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And it's also a very old ass photo from her Suits days, but that's all right. They
doesn't look anything like that anymore.
No. But anywho, they're also screening the candidates. So anyone who wanted to go to this girls' weekend is being screened heavily. So, of course, it's going to be Sussex squatties, la 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 la. And we love you. What's the question going to be? How do you stay so amazing? Or another question.
What's the secret of your success?
How do you deal with the haters? Or, just anything else that Jamie Kern Lima might have come up with. I mean, it's a gag-o-rama. God bless. God bless.
Oh my
Am I a little jealous? Would I like to go there and just take a gummy and giggle? Yes. Yes, I damn well would. I mean, At one point, I was offering people, and I still am. If anyone from Australia is watching, I've got $100 US. That's like $1.25 in Oz dollars left in my budget. If somebody wants to be my Johnny in the ground for me, let's do it.
It's an irresistible offer. Now, don't forget to subscribe to Paula's Substack, The Scoop with Paula Froelich. You can find that on Substack. Paula also has her own YouTube channel.
Yep.
The Inside Scoop with Paula Froelich, I think, is the YouTube channel. Or you can just Google Paula Froelich and you'll find her, and P-Fro on Instagram. Me and Paula will be definitely back with you on Tuesday for the brand new All Bells, All Whistles Daily Beast podcast. That is going to be dropping at 5 p.m. on Tuesday. And we will no doubt have lots of fun stuff to talk about. And we've also going to have on that show, I'm also going to have Andrew Loney, who I went and had a cup of tea with today at his book-lined office. You know his amazing book-lined office?
Oh God, yes, I love it, and I love him.
Went around. He was so charming. He's
so much.
Got me a delicious cup of Earl Grey tea, and we sat and chatted, and it was great, and gossiped, and it was wonderful. So we've got Paula, Andrew, and we've also got our mutual friend Shauna Kate coming on the show as well to tell us all about the Australian reaction to Harry and Meghan's quasi-royal tour of Australia.
Down under.
Down under, baby. Down under, baby.
It's going to be great. I love it so much.
Yeah. So we'll have to try and get Tom Bower on. That'll be next.
Oh my God. Right. Let's do a three-way with Tom Bower. It'll be me sandwiched between two Toms. That sounds horrible. We'll move on.
I'm just going to end the stream right there before we get banned by YouTube. Goodbye, everybody.